There's been a lot of talk about a shift backward from the private to the public, and I think that's really crucial. At the same time, I think that the public was never a people. The public is never the same thing. The public is essentially it's a body that has a certain kind of role, a role of decision making or offering up opinions within society. And I think that the role of the public has changed tremendously in the last 15 years. I mean, we've had a change at least as big as the one towards mass media. When mass media emerged, really with radio, which was the first time that you had everybody not just reading a newspaper, but listening to the same thing at the same time. Maybe you really think of there wasn't any TV, so you had 3 radio stations, and that would be what you would listen to, and that's where you would get your news from. Of course, you could get the newspaper too, but this is something now that's a kind of common shared position. So the first time since then that there's been this kind of huge change has taken place in the last decade, and obviously it's been revolutionary. I mean, we have the growth of citizen journalism, we have the growth of political movements that are done online. I was really struck in a positive way by how Obama had an iPhone app where you could, actually leverage the vast programming technology to get him elected. You could find out, it would basically sort all your friends by how important their vote was based on their area code, and then you would call them and you could check it off and compete with other people. It was really smart. I do hope that the Obama administration and also anybody interested in these kind of things in making an effective positive change will recognize that we live in a world of multiple publics, and these publics are networked. They may not be contiguous in location. They very well may be contiguous, or at least in physical location, maybe contiguous virtually. That is, that people may, maybe Twitter users have a very different idea of what they want politically than MySpace users. Things are changing greatly, and obviously our own ability to feed back into the system is huge. The question is, how much are we going to be willing to do with that, and how much are powers that are invested willing to do that? But the change is happening very radically. I mean, look, the New York Times could be gone in a year or two, and nobody would really be shocked. I mean, I was here at a symposium. Nicholas Lehman, the dean of journalism school, was talking about how maybe we need to have a non-profit model where a university buys the New York Times. And I thought, my gosh, and we thought architects had it bad in this recession. No way, look, these guys were much worse off. And so, all that to say is that I don't think that we can build the kind of consensus that we could build before. We have to think of it in new ways. The one thing that may be to our advantage is that consensus is also or decision-making can be affected much more by a group of people who are very much invested in something rather than trying to win over an entire political party set. And that's very much how in America, but also in many countries now, politics is waged, right? So we have a question of, can you galvanize those that vanish? I mean, presidential elections are won by a handful of votes, relatively speaking. How do you galvanize the independents who will swing each way? And how do you galvanize the various party members who also might swing each way? And so that, I think, is a place where potentially more and more attention to infrastructure could result in change.